here with AntiAaron and Uprising. I'm Slurpy Ninja. I'm here, actually.
Indeed, and as am I. Hello.
Yes, he also has his
Goodness,
mask here.
goodness gracious me. Hello, Slurpathon. It's been a while. I hope you didn't miss me too much, and I sincerely apologize for being a dork and forgetting to submit. But thankfully, we got my good man Aaron here, always representing the Contra community with Hardcore Uprising, and you better believe that I'm going to be doing my best to support him as well. This is going to be a blindfolded run for those unaware. So Aaron is going to be completely playing this without the ability to see the game. Luckily, though, he will be utilizing Rising mode, and this will be with one of the best Contra characters ever dare made in the franchise, in my honest opinion, Sayuri. So, you're going to be hearing me and Slurpee doing the main commentary this way, while we let our man go ahead and set up. So, Aaron, best of luck, my guy,
All right.
and yeah, let's rock and roll.
Okay.
All right. So as we're setting up, we should quickly explain a little bit about what to expect with the Rising mode category. So Rising mode is a little special to Hardcore Uprising in that you have upgrades that you can apply to your characters. Without those, you might as well expect this game to have the typical difficulty that any Contra game naturally would. And so with that in mind, Aaron will have a lot of room for error because not only can this increase your character's health bar, but also give them a super amazing amount of lives. In fact, look at the screen, you'll see for yourself. But right now, we're gonna get this started. Time will begin once Aaron gains control of Sayuri, which is when she touches the ground from the helicopter. So, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Slurpee, if you'd like to go ahead and cue us into a few basic things about Hardcore Uprising, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know, did you mention that it's actually like a Contra game that was made by Arc System Works?
I had not yet, and this is actually using the same technology or art style as what you would see from their early Guilty Gear games, as well as their Blaze Blue titles, which is personally one of my favorite style of things to come out from them, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep. So in this first stage, just holding the diagonal staff and holding the rapid fire. Well, there he gets rapid fire from Rising mode, so holding that gets you through a lot of the stage. But there are some places where you have to be careful that you don't take a hit.
Yeah, just because this is a character that primarily utilizes the sword, doesn't mean that we still cannot be, you know, completely attentionless to danger, per se. Now, just because we've got a health bar, kind of like the Japanese version of Contra Hardcore for the Sega Genesis, doesn't mean that there are still things that can completely throw you off. For instance, we have the gunner characters, the fellow gunner characters that neighbor Sayuri, and in their cases, they collect gun weapons standard to the Contra series as we usually know it. But in their case, any kind of knockback damage they take will cause them to lose the gun. Now, in the good news for Sayuri, she won't have that sort of thing going, and she also has not only rapid fire. Whoop, excuse me, that was a bit of a hiccup there. Rapid fire, but also a charge slash, which is reminiscent to the heated plasma gun that this game gives you, and it is one of the biggest, most damaging things that you can get within Hardcore Uprising for sure. Coming up to the first main boss, we have the Lotus Worm, and this is going to be a gigantic creature of mechanical proportions made up of multiple segments. It is possible to destroy those segments and get a few items from it, but our main concern is going to be the head, because that's what's going to destroy the thing overall.
Yeah, you typically want to have the proper spacing. It's a little hard being blindfolded for that.
I'm not used to seeing it go that vertical for that long, if I'm being honest. But then again, that's just my experience right there. So now we're gonna get on the bike again, and yeah, we're gonna experience Chase Scene 2 Electric Boogaloo. It turns out that the minion that thing ate is not entirely dead yet, and it's gonna have one final hurrah, but we'll be soon ending this level with grabbing onto the helicopter, the same kind that we entered the stage in. Now, we're going to see Aaron attempt to try and nail that, but if he fails, that's no big deal. You will automatically grasp the helicopter and it'll still be mission complete. Keep this in mind, though, because that certainly will not be a liberty he gets in the final level. Ooh, nails it, though. Good shot. Good job, man. Hey, so that's
Our
stage...
helicopter can actually cost quite a bit of time.
Yes, that is true. But yeah, that is stage 1 complete, and this game has 8 of them in total. You did notice that in Rising mode, you also have a stage select screen, which is pretty handy-dandy. We do have a category as well for what's called star chips, because the game also has a star chip located within each of the level, and when you collect that, it will be added to the screen to give you a reminder of that sort of completion. It's pretty cool. But yeah, moving into the jungle level. Now, I will say one of the downsides of not getting to play as one of the gunner characters is that my usual go-to, Bahamut, has a certain line that I always love to hear him say, and he says it at the start of this level, and then when one of the other main boss fights begins, and that is, I hate spiders. So...
Do you see Aaron using the vault option a lot to avoid these tanks? Because getting poisoned by them makes you unable to do anything but walk, which is really slow.
Yeah, it also drains your health, which is not super bad. It's just the idea that your health will lower without necessarily knocking you back, which it kind of has that, as I like to call it, sneaky property of damage that you don't fully recognize. But, you know, the health bar is still segmented no matter what. Enemies usually get you one hit apiece, so really, I think it's just a matter of how troublesome it is to your movement for the most part, as compared to your health.
Yep, poison slows you down.
Okay, coming into another mini-boss here. We've got a few phases for this particular one. It's going to start off as a singular helicopter, and then it's going to split into 2 helicopters. But wait, where's the block party? Any Guitar Hero references going about? That's my one for this run. I love that song, actually.
Aaron was going for a quick kill there, but he missed it, so yeah, I have to wait for the helicopter on that.
Yeah. And also worth noting, too, is that you see the crocodile enemies that make up some of the platforming within the water area, and Aaron does have to be very careful about that, because getting snagged will pull him under to the water, and that is obviously 1 life lost as a result of it.
Yeah, they're a little weird. Sometimes you think you'll have killed them, but they'll still hit you, because, I don't know, the game is just glitchy with local crocodiles.
Now, Slurpy mentioned the vaulting ability. This is one of several actions that you can unlock for the characters using your core points. And in Rising mode, you build up your core points with each enemy you kill. So, one of the grinding spots that Aaron and I would utilize if we ever have to build up our core points for a character would indeed be that mini-boss area, because getting to hammer on those crocodiles really works out, even though it also it does take some time, if I'm being honest, but still, it is probably a consistently reliable grinding spot, and it's what allows buying those unlockables for speedrun purposes to be much quicker, much more attainable. We'll talk a little bit about those upgrades a little later down the line, though. We're going to see our introduction to the character Leviathan, who is piloting the mech, the Knight Persia, and this mecha will spawn within different locations of the battlefield, utilizing its cloaking field, and then try to use a variety of its different weapons, including the big laser scope, to basically shoot us. But the overall idea is that Aaron is just going to try and fish out by knowing the signs of damage, because usually whenever you hit an enemy, there is a particular sound that you do hear as a result of that. So right now he's attempting to see if it will spawn in the upper left, which it did for a while, so that was actually pretty good. However, it lasted much shorter than we could have wanted it to, so a little unfortunate there, but yeah. Now he's going to attempt the upper right platform, and you do notice those fruits in the trees, those can heal your health. Collecting them will give you some of your health back, if you ever need that.
Yeah, this boss is tricky because if you don't get him first go, it will spawn in random locations and figure it out while blindfolded. So that's the difficulty.
Yeah, but luckily we have cleared the boss at this point, so now we get to go into the ruins, and so that's stage 2 complete. And that was pretty good, all things considered. Like, yeah, a little bit of trouble, but nothing much to it. Still proven very capable in the face of danger, as he usually does. Okay, so stage 3. The main, let's say, deal behind this level is that we don't really have much in the way of mini bosses. Rather, we have just a couple of main boss fights, and the whole aesthetic of this being an old temple is that there are a couple of tricks and traps that we'll have to maneuver accordingly, and there's also the introduction to what is probably the worst enemy in the game, by my opinion. The gigantic hulking soldiers with the stretchy arms that basically try to mimic Luffy from One Piece, but they also have a tendency to explode when they die, and the debris that it launches as a result of the explosion can still hurt you. So, yeah, I very much do not like that enemy, and I don't know what it's called, but if I could say that name now, it'd probably be in bad taste. That's for sure. Alright, and there goes
The Aaron bumped into the boss intentionally, just to set up the right position for that quick kill there.
Yeah. The 573 Tigress is very simple when it comes to having a consistent damaging method. It's just going to go down like paper mache, really, but the whole motif of the fight is that it tries to chase you and break the platforms, or at least whenever it tries to like walk forward anyway, but you also got to be mindful of its laser cannon, which we didn't really see happen, which is good. So, yeah.
I haven't seen that boss. I so fast, so I don't even remember having those.
So, now we get to go embrace our inner Indiana Jones here, as we escape a collapsing ceiling with spikes atop, and dodge a couple of boulders, and yeah, now we get to do a classic Contra trope of going down a body of water, and instead of going up the waterfall, it's completely the opposite. So, whee! Yeah, pretty much that. It's just a very chill zone, a very opposite sort of thing is in comparison to the original Contra game that everybody knows and still loves. So, all well and good, but yeah, a little tongue-in-cheek humor, at least from what Aaron and I think. Now coming back into the fray is the Tigress, now forming the Draconis, and for this entire fight, we want to get on the main body and take out the weak points as soon as possible, and so hopefully in pursuing that we can do so in a complete cycle. Otherwise, if the boss forces you back onto the raft at a certain point, it will do a couple more attacks and then become vulnerable again. So yeah, at this point we obviously with Sayuri's rapid slashing, no problem whatsoever. And now we gotta get back onto the helicopter, which, yeah, you just saw right there that Aaron did take a plunge into the water, but the game did auto-correct that just fine, so, yeah.
Another helicopter that you have to jump to.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you just said that.
Stupendous.
Well, I mean, I am honestly gonna speak a mile a minute that whatever I just say, I might even forget about, so... I'd say any commentary...
I took a moment there to pin something to the chat. when I missed what you said, so sorry about that.
All good, all good. I'm just saying, and anything's fair game, even if I've already said it. Okay, so we've moved into our first of the auto-scroller stages. We do have 2 of those, and this here is a city highway. So normally at this point of the run, I usually like to talk about the plot of the game, because we do have a while before we have to focus our energy on taking out certain enemies in order to have the game progress. So aesthetically and chronologically speaking, this game is meant to serve as a prequel to Contra Hardcore, the original Genesis game, as well as a prequel to the original Contra for NES. And the idea is that in the, I believe this would be the 26th century, because I have a tendency to forget that the first 2 digits of the thousands and the hundreds, you usually add 1 number to the hundreds in order to get the correct century. So the Commonwealth is the running governmental body and is ruled by Tiberius, who is a pretty bad man and is also Sayuri's adoptive father. And yeah, she's none too happy about the antics that this guy's been pulling, so much so that she ended up defecting from the Commonwealth and rejoins the resistance that has been formulating different, I guess you could say squadrons, different like groups, tribes, whatever the heck, and she is one of the main representatives among Bahamut, Crystal, and Harley to put an end to the overall Commonwealth's forces. So, thus bringing us the plot of this very game. And it is true that with each playable character in the game, the loading level screen, the level loading screen rather, grammar, hello, each of the loading screens...
The loading screens between levels has a detailed summary of the plot for each part.
Yes, it differs between each character, which there is a 5th playable character actually, but before even getting into that, well, it is worth mentioning Sayuri and Harley are DLC characters, so in order to be able to use them in the first place, you will have to pay a little bit of money for it, but luckily it is very, very cheap. And the DLC, of course, is still very much accessible digitally. In fact, this game is still can be acquired digitally, especially on the Xbox systems, which is probably the most convenient way to play this, because this originally launched for PS3 and Xbox 360, but thanks to Microsoft's backwards compatibility system, it is also playable up to a Series XS. So that is probably the best loading time and quality you can get out of this game. And yeah, I'd say all the better for it, because it is a damn shame that we never got a PC port of this.
It's also available on PS3 historically.
Yes, it is still purchasable on PS3. However, the community also does allow the use of emulators in case, just in case you want to take that approach. It is perfectly fine, and yeah, part of the user-friendly inner workings of this game also comes from the fact that we do have the leaderboards set by IGT, because with each results screen does come the in-game timer, and it does tally up how things go as you progress. So now this mini-boss right here, we do want to take it out within a full-on cycle before it has the chance to do its more annoying attacks by shooting missiles and other things in the background, and Aaron did just fine on that. We also had to avoid it in order to not lose a life, and yeah, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But soon we're going to be coming up to the main boss itself, because this is the last part of the auto-scroller. So yeah, Slurpy, if you want to talk about a few things, I'll lend you the floor.
Yeah, this boss is a big wheel.
It really is, though.
Yeah, so it has sections on it where you can destroy each individual part, and then when you destroy the outer ring, then you have to destroy the inner ring, and then you have to fight the boss inside of the core.
Yeah, so because of that, we do need to switch into more of a shmup style of control, because the way this boss fully plays out, turns out that the hoverboard we were using to traverse the road is capable of full-on flight this whole time. Why we never used it in the first place to just get past this entire city beats me, but whatever. I'm not the one writing the rules of this game's story. But yeah, we do have to float around and take care of the crystals, the protective casing right there, in order to open up the ring and then move into phase 2 of the fight. So once that's taken care of, Aaron will be then trying to handle the green crystal hit point areas from the inside of the ring to then force the boss to make itself known. Now, of course, being unable to see, he doesn't quite exactly have a good way to position himself. So he's obviously staying firm to where he currently is and letting things play out, even if that means getting hit from time to time. But eventually, it will allow us to get our blade in just the right spot. And, oh, it looks like one of his projectiles actually managed to open it up, so that's actually very lucky. Good stuff. Yeah, so now we gotta rinse and repeat just a little bit. And yeah, you're noticing that the boss will spawn some orbs to try and hunt you within the inside of the ring. So this is another case of an enemy that tries to attack you while in the smaller confines, and thus the game telling you, hey, you might want to start moving around and stuff. But now the ring has become a robot.
With a ring around it.
Yes, with another ring around it. So now we've moved into the Gradius portion of the game. Yeah, you'll see that the boss is changing up phases each time its health bar goes into a different portion. So Aaron cannot finish it in one fell pattern of attacking. It's fixed and set to constantly switch things up each and every time we hit those thresholds of the health bar. But yeah, that's the boss down. And we have officially cleared our first of a couple of auto-scrollers. And so next up, we're going to be doing a 5th stage that also happens to be the potential bane of a possible, let's say, smooth sailing blindfolded run. That'll be in the mid-section of Stage 5, though. So starting things off, we're going to ask the simple question of, anybody here a fan of Metal Gear by any chance?
Me.
Show of voices, show of hands. I know I heard Slurpees just now. Well, guess what? We're gonna go ahead and do everything that the game series usually tells us not to do, and constantly sound the alarm! And yeah, get used to that sound effect going on for a little while. We're in a bit of an interesting position, though, but luckily Aaron did just figure it out that, yeah, you can cling onto walls.
Aaron does actually have to destroy some of the security boxes before the way will open.
Yes, and on the subject of boxes, the game does have the intent of having players initially try to stealth things out. You can hide under the boxes, much like how Solid Snake would. So if you do wish to take the stealth approach, good for you. I don't exactly know if there is a special achievement for that per se, because I've actually never pulled that off fully. But I can say that I wouldn't be surprised if the game does try to give you some kind of kudos as a result for doing it. It's just that when it comes to speedrunning, we don't care. We really just do not care at all.
So the mid-boss stage is another wheel.
Yes, one with several laser guns, and once we get to that fight chamber, you will see Aaron try to get down to a little close to halfway before it sets off another fixed phase. That will then cause the floor to break, and thus both the boss and Sayuri into a cavern chamber.
If Aaron can make it to the boss.
Well, yeah, at the moment we've got a bit of trouble here with the conveyor belt room, so yeah. This is just one of those risks
right,
you
don't
run
worry.
of having
Double jump.
to platform. Yeah, luckily you do have the double jump. Technically, you have a triple jump if you use the Rising mode upgrades, so... Yeah, so far... This section is considerably tricky when you have to account for the fact that the conveyor belts will be pushing you all the way, so standing still is not an option.
I think he thinks that he's in a room, but he's not in a room.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. Alright, he's gonna... I think he's noticing it at this point, though, so... Now the question is, okay, yep, there we go. Awesome. Now we've corrected our course.
We're on course for orb.
Yes, and
There
there's our
it is.
orb. There's our orb right there. Alright. And wouldn't you know it, the orb has an eye. A big eye. Because where have we seen that trope in video gaming before?
I don't know.
I see what you did there. So at this rate, the boss is down, and yeah. The general setup that Aaron tries to go for with this one is running up a wall and then dashing right under it to get himself set up in that right position. So that's the usual strat that he goes for without the ability to see what he's doing. Now we're going into a lava factory, trying to get over the lava and through those flying enemies. And then right here
it is Nightmare from 30, you're right.
Yeah, I guess that is a good way of putting it, huh? But now we've cleared through the pods room, and oh hey, that's an escort mission right there. Who is this guy?
There's a scientist that you have to escort. He's annoying.
Yeah, that's actually Dr. Geomandrake. Whether or not he's the same Dr. Geomandrake that we know of from Hardcore, the Genesis game, the one that may or may not potentially turn on us as into a bad guy, is neither here nor there, but he certainly shares a name, and well, the one thing that's certainly bad about this Geomandrake is the fact that if he takes too much damage, he will go into a weakened state. He will not die outright, however, but it still takes a life away from us. So, thankfully, the game is not too punishing in that way, but the main challenge of this section is just getting him up the stairs. And even with the ability to see...
destroy the enemy fast enough when he went up the stairs.
Yeah. Even with the ability to see, this is still a potential hurdle that speedrunners of the game do have to deal with. Alright. Now that we've rescued the doctor...
The helicopter goes away. And now we have another orb.
Yeah, except this one is an alien. Because it's not a Contra game without an alien.
I wasn't kidding, it was an orb.
So this is the Celestial Imperator, and the first phase of this fight will happen with those laser arms. So we gotta try to disable the both of them in order to get the main foe lured out and into the battlefield itself. And so we gotta start things off by destroying the big hands, then the real action begins. And so Aaron is going to eventually realize that he still has one of the hands to take care of. And there we go. Alright, so now on to the main phase where we have these little laser wire thing, oh gosh, what's a good thing? I want to say fidget spinner, but that's definitely not a fidget spinner that's floating up there.
Orb.
Not the orb, Slurpee, the things that are coming from below the elevator that tries to hurt us.
Things that move in an orbital pattern.
Okay, I'll give you that, yes. There we go. That's the fight. And I guess in this way you could say we just kicked the baby. It's fine, it was a evil baby, so this is okay.
A true warrior.
No babies were actually harmed.
No babies were harmed, not at all. Nuh-uh. Okay, so here we have coming up our next and the last of the auto-scroller stages. And Slurpy, you've known me for a while. If there's one thing that you gotta know about Steve, aka Tempest Mask 1000, what would that fact be?
Or none.
Fair point. Fair point, but the real answer is, I like trains.
I also do. But yes, also evil babies.
So, this entire level takes place on a train, and the objective, of course, is to survive whatever comes our way and handle whatever prevents us from progressing the game, as with any auto-scroller level that knows a thing or two about trying to keep the player engaged. And so, thankfully, or maybe not so thankfully, the jury's still out on whether it's a good thing or not. Arc System Works made sure to include at least a couple of those situations in this here stage, but just for now, at the very least, we are going to just, handle whatever comes our way. There's not really too much in terms of the the whole setup going on. Also, I just want to say, too, that I love the fact Aaron included a shout-out to me for I Like Trains, especially if I'm not on commentary in these notes. What a guy.
Shout out to the trains.
Shout-outs to trains, indeed.
So
I'll tell you what, one of these
those
days...
fires that Aaron dodged earlier, in Rising mode, Sayuri has iframes in her jump. But if you're playing the game on non-Rising mode, then those fires are incredibly hard to dodge.
Yeah, because the game does have an arcade mode which follows the more traditional rules of a Contra game, including no upgrades that the Rising mode system usually gives you. So, yeah, if you're in for a more of a usual hardcore Contra type challenge, then arcade mode is definitely the way to be for you. We do have a separate category for that as well.
Rising mode is still very tough, but the regular mode is insanely tough.
For sure. The game also does have co-op though, local and online. So if you do need the help of a second player, definitely a viable option. And of course, online still works like a whistle to this day. So I can say that for sure as a fellow runner that has done a couple of co-ops with Aaron before, and let me tell you, it is fun. At this rate, there's not really too much going on for now. I do want to say though that I am curious personally to see how much money we will have raised by the end of this year's Slurpathon. I'd say we are definitely on track to reaching $2,000, and folks, I definitely want to see if we can potentially meet that within today, possibly before we start day 4. That would be pretty sweet. Or day.
Yeah, because as a reminder, we are raising money for Extra Life, benefiting Children's American Network hospitals and specifically the Alberta Children's Hospital. All funds are unrestricted, that means the hospital gets records if they need to help the children. So all of your donations are very much appreciated and very much help out.
Yes, and of course, if you feel that you can only give so little or so much, that's perfectly understandable because, as I always like to say, any donation counts no matter how big or small. So anything you have to give is much appreciated, and we thank you for your time and consideration. And now for a enemy that does not give the player much consideration, this giant mecha, which thankfully we just make look like a hot knife into a stick of butter.
You're poorly trained.
And yeah, that's all they wrote about that one. But casually speaking, I will say I've had quite a bit of trouble with that particular boss, so it is good to see it taken down nice and easy for sure. And now, we're coming up to the main boss of this game, the Arachnus. And this is the other particular point in Hardcore Uprising where if you are playing as Bahamut, he'll be saying that line, so I'll be doing it in lieu of his absence once we get to that particular moment. So here's Arachne.
Strange.
I hate spiders.
Not finished.
Shout out to Bahamut.
Not finished yet.
Yeah, for this boss, you just need to slash it on one side and then slash the other side and then slash the middle.
And then, yeah, at the second phase, it will change things up a little bit, but the weak point will be located on the sides, and we do gotta get as close as possible, mainly, and preferably by using the trains once they inch up closer to the boss itself.
Eventually, we attack the weak point for massive damage.
Alright, on to stage 7. We are almost done with the game, and at this point, we're going to just go ahead and start things up by pointing out that, the Commonwealth at this point have been really pressured by the Resistance's efforts, that they are throwing everything in the kitchen sink at us. So we'll take this moment as Aaron goes through a bunch of familiar enemy types to quickly discuss the different types of upgrades that you can give your characters. So one of the classiest upgrades in Rising mode is the extra lives, particularly the maximum life count that you can give to yourself is 30 lives. And if any Contra fan knows what that number's the worth of that number, it's a reference to the Konami code. So always nice to see that being brought up in some way, shape, or form in Hardcore Uprising. But then we also have the increased health bar, which is always good for just trying to keep yourself trucking along without too little room for error. Of course, there is the increased attack rate, the increased amount of jumps, the increased amount of air dashes you can do, Ninja Jump, which is very, very handy because it is a jump invincibility buff that, while it only activates on the incline of your height, it is still very handy for trying to avoid losing your gun power-ups when you're playing as a gunner character. There's also, for the gunner characters, the option to upgrade your overall level of gun type collected for when you get the initial power-up, because the guns in this game are also have a stack upgrade system going with them. So level 1, level 2, and level 3 for each type. You can also give yourself the choice of starting with laser gun in one of your slots and ripple gun in one of your slots. And then there are the different types of action commands that you can use the action button for to perform. So more than just the vaulting, you also have deflecting bullets. You got dodging enemies themselves, like sort of
And you've got the
swerving around
helicopter
them.
skip, but it's coming up.
That's also true. I'll let Slurpy talk about this one, actually, so that I don't talk over it by mistake.
Not finished.
And so, Aaron is going to be jumping on this wall a specific number of times, and then he's going to climb a little bit, skip this first helicopter. Oh, yeah. He falls. Oh, no, he didn't get it. So he has to kill the helicopter.
Yeah, but it was a pretty interesting discovery that was made, and that it does save quite a little bit of time, because this game is pretty airtight in terms of speed tricks, so that mainly it just falls on strategies on how to take care of the bosses as soon as possible, and not too much else.
I
So
think I found that trick.
yeah,
That's
I
good too.
believed so. I do have a tendency to get who found it though mixed up. I do know though that you and AntiAaron had found the mini boss skip from
It's not over.
somewhere in stage 2, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yeah, we found that too.
Not finished
Or wait, no, yeah, it was the... What's it now?
I'm not finished yet.
The PSN jump or something like that? Something like that to do
It's
the...
not over.
The helicopter mini boss, was it, right?
Yeah,
It's not
I
over.
think, well, Aaron calls it that because we did it on PS3, but you could do it on any console, so.
Right. Makes sense though. I like the little nod to the original platform that it was found on. That's always nice.
Anyway, what would a Contra game be without riding on missiles at some point?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, of course,
It's not my turn.
elevator sequences are one thing, but completely causing the player to freak out when both elevators are taken out of commission, and then having the epicness of riding on the missiles, you'll love to see it. Just like how Aaron is having a wonderful, wonderful moment of relief in knowing that he has made it to the Leviathan section, where we also get introduced to Tiberius. This is the big bad of the game, the leader of the Commonwealth, and our primary target to take down. But at the
Now
moment,
he has to be real careful here because he only has one life left. Well, technically two because of zero life.
Just to be killed?
right. So now we do have to
Now he has
start
only one life left.
Yeah. Honestly, not the worst time to figure it out because the game does have you at the very checkpoint where the cutscene begins. So really,
It's not my
far from the worst point in the game to ever game over, at least in my opinion. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
mostly
you go
chilling.
far from there and get your 30 lives back. That's interesting.
too slow.
Yeah, a lot more room for error now, thanks to that. And you also did notice that with each game over, you do have a limited amount of continues within a continued session of play. But, you know, it's better than a straight-up game over that just tells you start from the beginning of the level. It certainly is a lot better than that alternative, I dare say.
Yeah, true.
So at this point, we are in the Leviathan boss fight, and the entire sequence goes with a chase sort of procedure. We start things off by, you know, running after him, dealing damage where it counts, but also, you know, mostly just like going up a bunch of hallways with staircases while everything's on fire. Because this is fine. And here's a wonderful moment in the game where Leviathan just completely and utterly shows his lack of interest towards his own subordinates and uses one as a human shield. But you know, we really don't care about the Commonwealth mooks anyway, so we just completely diffused the situation with the utmost major casualty mindset. But now the real fight begins, and our last bout with Leviathan will take form with the Night Lunata mech. And
Yeah, you want to hit him in different parts of this jump here.
yeah, I was just gonna say I was ready for I was ready for it to start exploding because now he's down.
Trained.
And coming up is probably the most casually annoying boss within the game, and one doggo that you do not want to pet at all, and on the other hand, probably put down as soon as possible, because that thing is not going to give any regards for human life or human pets whatsoever,
Warning.
and will probably take yours instead. Yeah, coming up right here is the unusually named Cerberus. This bioweapon is by no means a friend. The real Cerberus that we all know and love is the one from Hades, let's be real. Shout out to Hades, always shout out to Hades. And here we go. So, getting on top of the main body and using the downward slash to just make short work of this thing.
I grow tired of
The main kicker behind a boss like this one is that when you're playing as a gunner character, you usually want to keep your gun power up lasting as long as possible. And with the way that boss tries to cage you from the inside until it just starts to fall down, that can be a big pain in the rear. So When I say this boss is casually difficult, usually that's from the perspective of not having the liberties that a fully unlocked Rising mode can give you. So, yeah, take my word for it. Now we got into the final level, stage 3. 8, not
Stage
3,
9.
8. Stage 9, no, this is stage 8. Oh, unless you... But then again... Nah, we'll call it stage 9, because in honor of your upcoming Mega Man 9 run. Why not?
Sure.
And, we got one last auto-scroller going on here. And, yeah, one final
You're
bike
right.
ride on that.
Stage 8.
This is where the rubber hits the road, though. And a little shout-out to our friend, the only Joey. Biker Mice from Mars! Which I still need to check out myself, because I have absolutely no full context of the original source in which that reference comes from.
It probably comes from like Mice from Mars.
Oh yeah, no, that I know for sure at the very least. It most certainly comes from Biker Mice from Mars. So now we move...
There are these pressures, and there is a skip kind of for these pressures where if you take damage in certain parts and move certain ways, then you can actually skip certain phases of the pressures. Like the game will, you take a death and the game will put you ahead of where you were before.
Yeah, the
But I
big
think Aaron is just
kicker...
waiting for the pressures.
Yeah, the big kicker here just being that, you know, the crushing ceiling, in some cases too, it has some extra hazards to its name. For instance, now that we've moved away from the crusher section, we've also got those laser cannons to deal with. But yeah, in terms of the crusher section, just getting yourself crushed is typically a more slower means of death that just is just unfavorable. But yeah, that section right there,
Oh, we got
nicely
red
handled. Having to fly off of a missile in order to completely navigate that wall while not being able to see is easier said than done. Also, yeah, hi Concakes. Shout out to our wonderful pal Concakes. Hello, Raiders.
Shout out to our wonderful pal, the next boss, another orb.
Another orb, the Vitus engine. And yeah, starting this fight off is what's it now? 3 pairs of 2 orbs. So we got to destroy some more orbs in order to fight the big orb. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward as can be. Each type of pairing has their own shot pattern. Also, I lied. It's 4 pairs of 2. That I really cannot English today for some darn reason. That's marathon luck for you.
I say Aaron's using jump invincibility to avoid shots while trying to simultaneously kill each orb at the same time.
Yeah, and at this rate, once the orbs have been completely taken care of, we will move into the next portion of the fight that will involve those pillars exposing their weak points, and we'll have to take care of all of them in order to force the Vitus engine onto the battlefield itself. So this part is generally slower by nature. It looks like Aaron did miss one of the ones from below, though, so hopefully he should be able to figure that out with what I would imagine would be... Yeah, there it is. Okay. So I figured it would involve just walking off like once or twice, and then, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Aaron is going to get up onto the ceiling again from this last platform, and then he's going to try for the boss to kill. Oh no, he's not. He's going to stay on the ground, I guess.
I can understand that one, considering the situation of the pillars from earlier. All things taking into account.
Yes, he's not going for the quick kill. He's just going to play it safe and
It's not
get
my
the orb from
time.
either side.
Yeah, one more death
Here.
as a result of its bowling ball nature, but it has been taken out. So at this point, the ship is going to start sinking, and so it's time for us to get out of dodge. But of course, this is not a escape sequence by any stretch of the imagination. No, this is just a prelude to the final boss himself, Tiberius. We will now be confronting the head honcho pretty shortly.
Yes, the final
That
boss.
said,
I mean,
It's not
Aaron
my
is having a bit of trouble with the platforming right now.
It's not my time.
this section is tricky
It's not
even
my time.
without blindfold, so
It's not over. I'm not finished.
Yeah, at this rate, I would imagine that if, in the likelihood of a game over, yeah, okay, there it is. So, at the very least, it is a tactical reset on that part, and luckily the checkpoint is just right there, so not the worst time to do it. I think that was more than likely intentional.
perhaps. Safety, deaths.
You again.
Yeah, speedrunners tend to do it all the time, myself included. And now, our British accent speaking Tiberius makes his official fighting appearance, and yeah, thankfully we've got a sword, so there's no way he's going to be telling us to go to hell, go to hell. Nah, we just say absolutely not to that. And when he first appears, he asks, "Do you want to see what death feels like, or tastes like, or something of the count?" But I think the real question is, how about you, Tiberius, eh? Because this guy has underwent a couple of mutations, and now we really need to put him down and out for the reals. And that phase just went by in the blink of an eye. There is a
I had him in the
period.
knee.
Go ahead. You can. We hit him in the knee, was it?
Now there's one more form you have to do. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, one final phase. And this one will be over a bottomless pit for a battlefield. So, the entire stage from this point on, or rather the entire area, will be made of wreckage pieces. Now, if you're playing as a gunner character, destroying the vertically falling helicopter bodies grants you a guaranteed gun power-up. In this case, that's not going to filter into anything to do with Sayuri, but Tiberius Invictus will be trying to do different sorts of attacks from the middle, left, and right, and is usually vulnerable whenever he just gets closer. So our hope is to take him out as soon as possible.
Yeah, ideally Aaron would get onto the pillar or bones up on the left here, stay there, and then try to slash him from there. So I'm trying to kill him like that.
It's not over.
And there it is.
Now, the run is not quite over yet. We do have one final helicopter sequence to get through, and unlike the previous two, in those particular stages, we actually have to grasp that helicopter to get out of here, and once he does, that will be time.
Jumping onto the helicopter successfully is a true last ball.
It's not over.
Yeah, especially when you are blindfolded, and that's time.
Mission
No,
failed.
he missed it.
Nope, he got it.
Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm watching the stream. My bad, I was really...
You were a little bit behind. Let's go. GG's, everybody.
A true warrior.
All right, nicely done. And our final time is now on the screen. And it looks like a 48-61. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
That was a bad everything and still sub 50.
Nice, GG. That was really good.
I gotta say, that was very
All right.
interesting with the conveyor belt section.
Alright.
And I'm just glad it eventually worked out, because I could tell that once things slightly went off script and we had to readjust, It was definitely a trial and error
Um,
period, and as Slurpee and I were saying,
I
you
can I
definitely-
interlude for a sec here? So
Yeah.
so up
What?
next our next runner is Dudney with pro commentary. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
What?
Thanks for having us, everybody.